Ruto addressing this year's National Trade Fair for its official opening at Jamhuri Park. Let's listen in.
It is therefore critical that we use opportunities such as this to engage a broader regional, continental, and global audience. The conjunction of agriculture and trade is just one, and certainly not the only example of the manner in which agricultural transformation and performance directly affects the performance of other sectors and is also affected by the activities in other spheres of economic pursuit. Once we proceed beyond subsistence agriculture, we have to take account of such matters as competitiveness, productivity, efficiency, value addition, manufacturing, and most certainly, trade, both local and international. This matter means that we must also give consideration to linkages, both forwards and backwards, between agriculture and industrialization, trade and services sector, as well as the powerful connection between agricultural performance and the most critical challenge we confront today, the cost of living, the subject of poverty, trade deficit, and of course, the big influence agriculture has on unemployment. I shall therefore focus on the plan being implemented by the government to address our most critical development challenges, with specific emphasis on the salient aspects of this year's theme: high productivity, technology-enabled, and science-driven climate-smart agriculture, together with globally competitive trade in high-value agro-industrial products. At the heart of our bottom-up transformation agenda is the endeavor to radically increase employment opportunities and simultaneously significantly enhance the productivity of labor in 5 priority sectors. Without a doubt, our interventions to transform agriculture are fundamental to the successful implementation of the plan. One of the drivers of the high cost of living and high levels of poverty, especially in rural areas, is that agricultural productivity has stagnated even as our population rose. Consequently, our food production more often than not falls below demand, and the importation of food increases our trade deficit and increases food prices. Given that food constitutes up to 54% of household expenditure, agricultural productivity is therefore a very high priority. At the same time, agriculture contributes 70% of employment of our population. Low productivity contributes to low earnings in the agricultural sector and undermines the capacity of households to withstand the cost of living, deepening poverty. Further, agriculture contributes 25% to our GDP directly and another 25% indirectly, a total of 50%. Low productivity responsible for deficit in essential agricultural produce is responsible for high importation, which depletes our foreign exchange and deepens the negative trade balance, worsening economic situations everywhere. Very few sectors of our economy have endured as much shock and stress as agriculture on account of extreme weather events, erratic climate, and the other adverse impacts of climate change. Our nation and our region has just emerged from a devastating spell of drought, which lasted for 6 seasons, leaving behind a catastrophic trail of famine, undernourishment, loss of crops and livestock, disrupted livelihoods, increased poverty, and weakened resilience. Yet we are not here to talk about all that is negative, especially when the prospects of a turnaround are so clear before us. This overview is intended to be a contextual backdrop of the opportunities that exist for local and international investors to direct capital and technology into agriculture and agro-industrial manufacturing in order to set out our economy on a path of transformation. We make agriculture a high priority for strategic intervention for a range of excellent reasons. The first, of course, is that directly and positively affects the incomes of 2/3 of our population. Higher incomes not only make a better standard of living possible, it facilitates savings, investment, propelling growth, and makes agriculture offer higher employment and income multipliers and contribute to significant poverty reduction. Equally critical is that such intervention, and intentional intervention at that, addresses the cost of living, especially for the poor who spend up to 60% on food, as well as households in general, for whom food contributes, as I said earlier, 54% of their expenditure. Utilizing our full agricultural potential can mitigate our dependence on food imports, protecting our foreign exchange, and insulating us from vulnerability to international price shocks. At the same time, we remain most globally competitive in agriculture, both in traditional crops like tea, coffee, cut flowers, and vegetables, as well as emerging export crops such as macadamia and avocado. This means that transforming agricultural activity will turn around our balance of trade through increased exports. It is the reason why, as the Governor of Nairobi said, we are expanding the footprints of markets across Kenya. Apart from the markets we are building in the city of Nairobi, we are building another 400 markets in rural areas in Kenya and 47 county aggregation and industrial parks. This will serve as outlets for our farmers. And these facilities will not only have storage, it will also have cold rooms. It will also have value addition infrastructure. And it will also have common user facilities for people in the space of agro-processing and value addition, so that we can not only create jobs, we can also add value to our products, increase incomes for our farmers, and eliminate wastage. Because when we provide storage and cold rooms, we eliminate post-harvest losses that come as a result of wastage that accompanies infrastructure that is not sufficient for our farmers to use to protect themselves from unnecessary losses. Kenyan manufacturing remains largely defined by agriculture. 40% of manufacturing jobs are in the agro-based industries, which account for over half of the sector and 48% of GDP. Value addition remains the most viable means of enhancing the competitiveness of our agricultural exports. We are collaborating with the county governments to establish, as I have said, a county aggregation and industrial park in every county. And we have begun the process to roll out the construction. It is my instruction that these county aggregation and industrial parks should be finished within the next 9 months and make them ready to serve farmers across the country. Our bottom-up economic transformation agenda aims to transform 2 million farmers from food deficit to surplus producers and reduce our dependence on basic food imports like domestic oil crops, wheat and rice by 30% through the provision of financing for inputs accompanied by intensive agricultural extension support. Fertilizer alone contributes up to 30% of crop productivity. Since assuming office, we have taken decisive steps to reduce the price of fertilizer through the fertilizer subsidy program from Kenya shillings 6,500 per 50 kilogram bag to 3,500, then further to 2,500. As a consequence, 4 million 50 kilogram bag of soil and crop-specific fertilizer has been distributed so far, with 2 million 50 kilogram bags expected to be distributed for the short rains between now and December, and a further 6 million bags during the season of 2024. Consequently, farmers could afford to grow more crops, resulting in the cultivation of an extra 200,000 acres this season alone, and a projected harvest of 44 million 90 kilogram bag in the long range alone, a 42% increase from a long-time average of 31.3 million bags. To turn agricultural production around to an accelerated growth trajectory, we have also made adequate provision to raise productivity in key food and other value chains, including edible oils, rice, cotton, dairy, beef, and leather, to boost tea sector and reform underperforming and collapse export crop value chains that have challenges like coffee, cashew nut, pyrethrum, and new crops, avocado and macadamia. The promise of this strategic pathway is immense. For instance, by investing in the cultivation of palm oil, sunflower, canola, and soybeans, we project to increase the annual domestic production of edible oils from 80,000 metric tons currently to 240,000 metric tons over the next 5 years, thereby reducing our dependency on imports and saving the country almost 100 billion that we spend annually on imports of edible oils. And the ministry has undertaken, the Ministry of Agriculture that is, that they will deliberately make seeds available, whether it is for sunflower, canola, soya. We are going to make sure that these seeds are affordable and they are available. We are also discussing with CALRO and the other research institutes so that we can also have wheat varieties that are researched appropriately so that we can enhance our production in the wheat varieties that we have. Similarly, the expansion of our rice production schemes in Ahero and Mwea, as well as the establishment of new ones in Tana River and in Migori, can make the country self-sufficient, saving us another 34 billion in imports. On the other hand, accelerated investment in cotton value chain will reduce our fabric importation by at least 50% and take Kenya's textile exports to 150 billion by 2027. I am happy to note that there is already a running program on importation of high quality seed of cotton that will be made available to farmers. And I am happy that counties are working with us on this aspect of ensuring that cotton becomes the white gold that we always knew it to be. I want to encourage the county governments that are working with us to work with the Ministry of Agriculture as we deliver cotton seed for them to engage in the growing. I want to ask them to work with farmers so that farmers can have access to extension services. Tea is the direct and indirect employer of 6.5 million people, or 13% of our population, including 750,000 farmers in 19 counties. Over the past year, the government has invested 4.4 billion in fertilizer price subsidy for our tea farmers, converting and covering the catchment area of all 54 smallholder factories. The subsidy resulted in a reduction of fertilizer prices from about 5,600 to 3,500, and I have made a commitment to all our tea, coffee, and all farmers in Kenya, including sugar, that we are going to reduce all varieties of fertilizer that are used by all farmers to 2,500 going forward. We have also developed a proposal to establish a framework to provide incentives for investment in local value addition of tea. Kateba, which processes smallholder tea, participated in the inaugural export of the economic community of West Africa states under the EAC and EFTA program. Under the coffee revitalization program, 72 factories are earmarked for upgrading. Additionally, farmers are to be provided with seedlings and fertilizer at subsidized prices. The aim is to increase productivity from 2 kilograms per tree to 10 kilograms and raise production from 50,000 metric tons to 102 metric tons per annum by 2027. I want to assure coffee farmers that the government of Kenya will work with all stakeholders to ensure that wastage, inefficiency, corruption, and other malpractices are eliminated. Farmers must get a good return for their crop. I want to assure all farmers, let me be specific about coffee. I know at the moment there are challenges in the coffee sector. I have taken a keen interest. My deputy is seized with that matter, and I want to assure our farmers that the government of Kenya will do whatever it takes to make sure that farmers don't suffer the consequences of what we have seen in the past, where a few people benefit and the rest of the farming fraternity are in poverty. Wakulima wote, especially wakulima wa kahawa, niwaambie ya kwamba tutahakikisha. Tunajua saa hizi kuna matatizo ya soko, lakini hiyo soko na matatizo yaliyoko katika sekta ya kahawa ni lazima tuyatatue. Wale watu wote wako katika hiyo sekta, nataka niwahakikishie ya kwamba serikali ya Kenya, mimi nikiongoza hiyo serikali, tutahakikisha kwamba tumetatua matatizo yaliyo katika sehemu hiyo ya kahawa. The sugar industry remains a high priority strategic sector for national agro-industrial development, wealth and employment creation. However, our production is chronically at deficit, with productivity plagued by aging mills, high indebtedness of sector institutions, diminishing soil facility, competition for land, low uptake of research variety of cane, low use of fertilizer, among other challenges. Local and international shortage of sugar has pushed the prices of the commodity beyond the reach of many households, underscoring the urgent need for a comprehensive transformation of the sector. This is why the government of Kenya has embarked on interventions to deliver conclusive resolution of the problems undermining the sector's potential. To begin with, the Cabinet has approved the write-off of Kenya shillings 117 billion of debt owed to state-owned sugar mills and companies in preparation for the leasing of the mills to private investors. The aim of the intervention is to inject competitiveness to the sector and ensure that at the expiry of the leases, the land reverts back to communities under a cooperative model. We have also been not afraid, and neither have we hesitated to take difficult decisions to restore sanity in the sugar sector. Regulatory reforms are being undertaken to empower farmers and give stakeholders a say in the affairs of the sugar industry. We remain vigilant and shall closely monitor progress to ensure that government decisions to advance the interests of the sugar growers and consumers are fully implemented in a timely fashion. The conversation we have initiated with leaders from the sugar belt will be sustained until we find a lasting solution to the chronic challenges that have brought the sector to its knees and impoverished thousands of hard-working farming households. On leather, we are investing 1.7 billion in the 2023-2024 budget to develop the leather pack industry in Kenanie. There will be more investments by government and private sector to further transform the leather value chain into a globally competitive finished leather and leather goods manufacturing industry and reduce importation of leather goods, especially footwear. As a short-term measure to mitigate the high cost of food, the government has waived duty on imported maize, rice, sugar, and raw materials for manufacturing of livestock feeds. Specifically, in this year's budget, we have waived duty on yellow maize for animal feed production. I will shortly have a conversation with all the manufacturers of our animal feed so that we engage and find ways beyond the interventions we already have to ensure that our dairy, leather, and in general livestock sector is taken care of. 2/3 of our country's agricultural land requires irrigation, but only 4% is under irrigation. I believe that irrigation is a singular transformative intervention that will liberate agricultural productivity from low and erratic rainfall patterns and enable farmers to be in active production throughout the year. And that is the reason why we have a comprehensive government program to ensure that we harvest and store water in dams, in micro dams, in ponds, and a comprehensive program is being undertaken by the Ministry of Water and Irrigation and working with the private sector under the PPP program to ensure that we increase the land under irrigation from the current 60,000 to 250,000 by next year and 500,000 hectares in 5 years. Aside from productivity, another key challenge to the performance of the agricultural sector is the subdivision of land holding into units that are not agriculturally viable and pressure on available land by settlement and other uses. And it is the reason why our affordable housing program, which is currently underway, is partly a solution to reversing the land fragmentation that is going on so that we can use other alternatives of settlement in our affordable housing program and release land that currently is being used for settlement for agricultural productivity in our land consolidation program. This will go a long way in ensuring that we deliver on our commitment on increasing food production and enhancing food security in our country. We are intentional about actualizing our vision for agricultural transformation through increased productivity and determined to prosecute a direct line of attack against the high cost of living, poverty, and unemployment. We have embarked on the focused execution of the plan to enhance productivity in several agricultural value chains to promote self-sufficiency and also export competitiveness. We expect the fruits of this intervention to begin accruing shortly, and in the maize, especially in the maize harvesting season, through sustained affordability of staple and other food commodities. In all our interventions in supporting production, we have chosen the prudent and promising option to subsidize production. We have chosen to take the side of farmers, Kenya's foremost hustlers, and the people at the bottom of the economic pyramid. We have embraced bottom-up transformation of the foundational sector, that is agriculture, in order to ignite the engine of our national development. And in doing so, we have intervened to bring all the variables within our reach, affecting the cost of living under control through strategic investment in critical value chains. This leaves us with a separate undertaking of managing the variables beyond our control, which are subject to global market and supply chain dynamics. I wish to emphasize that for the benefit of the local and international investors, that all the strategic interventions in various sectors and value chains represent attractive investment opportunities that will generously reward smart capital, especially capital that concerns itself with appropriate technology and innovation. You are encouraged to get in touch with the Ministries of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Water and Irrigation, and Industrialization, Trade and Investment for further details regarding the various investment opportunities. Regardless of sector or value chain, any discussion of climate-smart agriculture or trade initiatives or bottom-up agricultural transformation is a discussion of opportunities for investment. I commend the Agricultural Show of Kenya and its affiliates and partners for once again putting together another edition of the Nairobi International Trade Fair that meets the highest standard. And I am encouraged by the many Kenyans, the thousands of Kenyans that I have come across as I went around this showground. Congratulations to the organizers, my very best wishes to ASK, and we look forward to working with you going into the future. Asanteni sana na nataka niwashukuru wakulima wote. Vile nimesema hapa, kilimo ni muhimu kwa sababu inatusaidia kupunguza gharama ya maisha kwa kuhakikisha kwamba tunazalisha chakula ya kutosha. Kilimo ni muhimu kwa sababu inatupatia raw material ya viwanda zetu zote. 40% ya raw materials ya viwanda zetu zote zinatoka kwa kilimo. Kilimo inatusaidia katika kupanua nafasi za ajira katika taifa letu la Kenya, na kilimo pia inatusaidia kuondoa umaskini katika taifa letu la Kenya. Na ndio sababu tumetia mkazo mkubwa na tumeweka maanani sana mpango yetu ya kilimo na kusaidiana na wakulima ili tuongeze mapato ya wakulima, tuongeze nafasi ya ajira na tuongeze nafasi ya kupanua viwanda zetu kutumia kilimo na bidhaa zinazotoka katika kilimo. Let me also take this opportunity to say we are truly happy. Ni jambo ambalo alihusika ni na mambo ya hapa show, lakini nimepatiwa habari ya kwamba Kenya ikiungana na Uganda na Tanzania tumefaulu kuwa host wa AFCON in 2027. Nataka nipongeze wizara yetu ambayo inasimamia michezo na washikadau wote katika sekta hiyo kwamba ile mpango tumekuwa nayo ya kubadilisha mambo katika sekta ya mchezo sasa inaanza kufua dafu. Many people never believed that we had a chance of hosting AFCON in 2027 because of the state of our football and the state of our sports in general. But I am very proud today that Kenya, together with our partners in Uganda and Tanzania, jointly we have won the right to host AFCON in 2027, and we are very proud of this achievement. We will now mobilize every resource. We will mobilize every person and every sector to make sure that we deliver a world-class football event in 2027. We will make sure that whatever infrastructural facility that are required will be made available to make sure that we move Kenya to the next level in our sports industry. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Thank you.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais. Nitamuomba ruhusa Mheshimiwa Rais kutulia kidogo kwenye kiti chake ili tuweze kujipanga kwa wala
William Ruto has launched the Nairobi Trade International